Jesus! Oh. Ah! 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 Ah!
Remote wilderness encounters are terrifying because help may be miles away when something suddenly goes wrong. One man faced a bear at arm's length, while another camper watched strangers surround his shelter after dark. Could you stay calm in either situation? Scotty runs the YouTube channel Swamp Valley, where he shares peaceful bushcraft trips and wild camping adventures in the remote Scottish wilderness. His videos often feature practical outdoor skills and show his genuine appreciation for nature. However, one particular outing showed him how quickly a relaxing escape into the wild could become unpredictable and frightening when something went wrong. On October 22, 2019, Scotty entered the wilderness for what he expected to be a normal camping trip. He planned to record the experience, rest, and enjoy some quiet time surrounded by nature. Before long, he noticed something that made him uneasy. An unfamiliar man appeared to be moving nearby and seemed to be following him. The peaceful atmosphere of the trip quickly changed into something much more disturbing.
I don't want to sound like a big pansy. This is really freaking me out. Somebody is actually following me, and it's freaky, man. What the? Like, who the hell is that? I'm not messing about with that guy. Right, I am. Do I just bloody call this? Where'd he go? No, I'm gonna hide. Alright, let's see how good he is in the woods.
Scotty tried to keep track of the stranger, but the man suddenly disappeared among the trees. There was no clear sign of where he had gone or why he had been following Scotty. The disappearance only made Scotty feel more nervous. Although he could no longer see the man, he could not ignore the possibility that the stranger was still nearby, watching him from somewhere out of sight. Scotty began to wonder whether it was safe to remain at the campsite. By this point, the man's behavior no longer appeared harmless, and his reason for following Scotty remained unknown. While carefully watching the surrounding area and trying to follow the stranger's movements, Scotty suddenly lost sight of him again. Only moments earlier, the man had been close enough for Scotty to track. Now he had completely vanished, and the forest became silent once more. Realizing that the situation could be dangerous,
I lost track of him, but I can see. I don't know if you can see. That's the fire, that's calling. But where the fuck did he go? Honestly, I was about 50 metres behind him. I don't know where he's fucking hell. He was right here. Oh fucking hell. I need to be quiet. Did he go that way? Fucking hell. I don't know where the hell he went.
Scotty decided to contact someone for help. At that exact moment, the unknown man suddenly appeared again, in a way Scotty had not expected. The situation quickly became chaotic.
Oh, Jesus! You know, oh, shit! Jesus! Get fucking burned. Fucking river. Fucking river.
Scotty then turned off his camera, leaving viewers with no clear record of what happened afterward. The footage ends with more questions than answers. The identity of the stranger remains unknown, along with his reason for following and attacking Scotty. Most disturbing of all, the video never reveals what happened after the camera stopped recording. In a thick forest, trees and uneven ground can block a person from view within seconds. Someone may seem to disappear even when they have only moved a short distance away. The stranger may have been hiding nearby, or Scotty may simply have lost sight of him among the trees. Either way, his sudden return made the danger feel real. What do you think happened after Scotty turned off the camera? On October 1st, 2022, a climber reached the summit of Futago in Japan. What began as a normal mountain hike was about to become one of the most frightening moments of his life. The footage shows the climber suddenly facing a bear at dangerously close range. With only seconds to respond, he began shouting and trying to scare the animal away. He had no time to carefully plan his next move, so his survival instincts took over. For several tense seconds, the climber appeared to be caught between life and death. The encounter did not last long, but every quick reaction mattered. Fortunately, his attempt to frighten the bear seemed to work. The animal hesitated, stepped back, and eventually retreated into the forest above him. After reviewing the footage, it appears the bear may have been acting defensively. It was possibly protecting a cub, and the climber may have entered its territory without realizing it. Wild animals do not always approach people because they are hunting them. Sometimes they react because they feel trapped, threatened, or worried about their young. A normal hike had suddenly become a dangerous encounter between a human and a wild animal. Do you think the bear was protecting its cub, or was something else causing its behavior? On February 2nd, 2025, outdoor enthusiast Leslie Mansfield uploaded a video of her first solo camping trip in an unfamiliar area. She expected a quiet night beneath the stars, but the trip soon became unsettling enough to make her leave her campsite. Leslie arrived later than planned, with daylight already fading. After parking in a remote area, she walked toward her chosen camping spot. Along the way, she passed warning signs saying that diseased trees were being removed. Because the route was restricted, the area appeared mostly deserted.
Bridleway diversion route. Well, I'm not on a horse, so am I allowed? Bridleway closed. We're felling the diseased and dying ash trees along this bridleway. Oh my goodness, I've only just come here once. Great. That means I'll be all alone. Naughty people who are willing to go through tape come down here.
Leslie continued walking and set up her tent in a secluded location overlooking the valley. The nearest house was about 500 meters away, making her realize how isolated she was. At first, the silence felt peaceful. Then Leslie noticed a person walking through the valley below with a flashlight. She immediately turned off her own lights so the person would not see her. At first, she believed the stranger was simply passing through the area. However, the figure did not continue away. Instead, the person turned around and began moving back toward Leslie's tent. Feeling exposed, Leslie quickly grabbed her phone keys and jacket. She left her tent behind and hid among the nearby trees while watching the stranger's movements.
Better put my hat on. Don't know if you can see that, but there's somebody walking down the bottom of the valley there with a torch. I'm sure they're fine and innocent, but I've turned all my lights off until they've walked by. That person with the torch going along, oh, I'm on a hilltop and I can see they're about to leave the valley, so that's good. But they didn't. They came back sort of towards the tent, and I just thought, oh shit, oh shit. The camera, in fact the camera is what I was worried about. First time I've used this, Insta360. Wanted to make sure that was okay. And my hip belt I wear, so it's got my mobile and keys, so I just got my rucksack on and hid down in the trees to make sure they went. Because I also wanted to check what they were doing, you know, me leaving, and eventually they left. I don't know, I was spooked by then. So I found a different spot, just about 10 minutes around the corner, but it's a different...
After several minutes, the person finally left. Leslie remained hidden until she felt sure the area was clear. Although she could have returned to her tent, she no longer felt safe there. She moved to another location about 10 minutes away, where she could not be seen from her original campsite. At the second spot, Leslie slowly began to calm down.
The lighting. How do people have bright lights when they use these? What lighting do you use, guys, when you use these cameras? Do you just have your torch? I don't think so. I've just been looking outside the tent and I'm not going to leave just yet because it is a special night, really. Planets being all in a line, but the three I can see, Venus, the evening star, is so bright over there. Just up ahead is Jupiter and Mars, which I've never really known about before. So I feel safe and secure to stay. But I'm in an incredibly difficult pitch. It's completely lumpy and sideways. I just didn't want to go back to the car, so I was all stubborn. But it's awful. It's like
The sky had cleared and she could see Venus, Jupiter, and Mars above her. However, the new campsite was rough, uneven, and difficult to rest on. She wanted to stay and complete the trip, but she could not stop thinking about the person near her first campsite. Eventually, Leslie packed her equipment and returned to her car. In darkness, it can be difficult to judge how far away a flashlight is or exactly where it is moving. The stranger may have been an innocent walker, but Leslie could not know why the person suddenly turned toward her. Do you think the figure noticed that she was camping alone? Uploaded on March 1st, 2025 by the YouTube channel Venture Unbound. This video follows a solo camper who set out into the wilderness expecting a quiet, peaceful escape from modern life. With his bivy tent pitched and campfire gear ready, he thought he was in for a relaxing night of solitude. But as darkness fell, an unexpected encounter would change the tone of his trip entirely. The evening began like many other solo outings. He cooked a simple dinner, bacon and eggs, over a compact stove, commenting on the quiet atmosphere and the sounds of nearby wildlife.
That was an owl. Hopefully we're going to hear some owls tonight. That was cool. Wonder where it is.
Don't know why I didn't spot this before. There was a little tree stump I should have used, and I'm using that now. And it's actually balancing a lot better with it being on top of the tree stump, so I'm using it here now. So that's sizzling away now.
So this is cooking quite well, to be fair. Smells good. Almost there with this one. But I should have brought some extra fuel, I think, for next time, because it is almost running out, so not doing too good. So this is my food tonight.
It doesn't look very appetizing. It's just scrambled egg and bacon.
As he ate, he appreciated the stillness, noting the owl calls echoing through the trees. It was the kind of isolation he had been looking for. After dinner, he took a short walk with a lantern to test how dark the woods truly were. The trees cast long shadows that seemed to move with him. It was eerie but manageable. Once he returned to camp, he zipped himself into his bivy tent and settled in for the night. But that sense of security wouldn't last. A bright light suddenly shone through the fabric of his tent, followed by distant voices growing louder. A group of young men had entered the area, their flashlights scanning the woods, eventually landing on his tent. The camper froze, trying to stay silent and observe from within. The group didn't appear hostile, but their unexpected presence in the dead of night was unnerving. They paused near an old circular brick structure not far from his position. One of them realized they weren't alone and apologized before they moved on, their voices gradually fading into the distance.
Turn around, there's somebody sleeping in the tent behind me. There. Go to the tent. Right there, bro. Hello? I told you it's bumping it to what we do. Oh, it's coming about it together. But I don't want the guy to feel threatened at all, do you know what I mean? Yeah, leave him to it, mate, let's go. He's got a body cut, look, he's got a shelf on there, look. Look on the tree, that this looks like animals and shit. You're right. Oh, sorry, we just stumbled across you, mate, my bad.
No, it's alright, no worries. I'm camping, lads.
You doing okay, though?
Tell you what, go down that way, there's like a bit of a dig.
Is there?
Yeah, just keep going, there's like
Still, the encounter left the camper deeply unsettled. What had once felt like a safe, secluded space now felt exposed. He lay awake, listening for any returning footsteps. To make matters worse, moisture began building inside his bivy from condensation. Water droplets formed above him, dripping intermittently onto his gear. The damp and unease combined to rob him of sleep. Eventually, morning came. The forest, now bathed in soft daylight, seemed harmless again. Birds chirped, and the tension of the night lifted.
It's a small amount of space. Water can gather because of condensation, and I had that issue last night. And with it being a trespass tent as well, really bad for getting like loads of condensation on top of the walls, on the sides of the tent, so on the ceiling of the tent. So it's not the best tent, I'd say. I mean, for around 50, I can already feel it now, like on my hands, just like water, like condensation. It's not good. But what a beautiful morning it is. Got the birds chirping. I could hear owls last night. I saw an owl last night, which was really cool. To be honest, the lads were fine. They were very apologetic when they came through, and I don't think they had any bad intentions, and they were sorry that they disturbed me. They're probably young lads in their early 20s, just trying to have a bit of fun in the woods at 11 in the night. we all have our hobbies, I guess.
He stepped out of the tent, noting the tent's poor performance in handling moisture, but otherwise thankful for the clear weather. Reflecting on the previous night, he admitted the group of strangers seemed harmless, likely just a group of young men exploring the woods late at night. They had been polite, even apologetic. Still, the experience had rattled him. In such isolation, the unknown becomes far more threatening, even when it turns out to be benign. While nothing paranormal occurred, the psychological tension was very real. In unfamiliar, isolated locations, even mundane events like an unexpected group passing by can feel dangerous. This highlights how vulnerable solo campers are, especially when visibility is low and shelter is minimal. What if the group hadn't been friendly? What if they hadn't noticed him at all, or worse, if they had and chosen not to leave? In the wilderness, uncertainty is often the most unsettling part. Would you camp alone after a night like that? The incident occurred on October 7th, 2022, when Nick of the Hunting Public entered a remote forest with a companion for a bow hunting trip. After failing to find any game, they chose to pitch a tent and stay overnight, intending to continue hunting deeper in the woods the following day. Neither expected the strange experience waiting ahead. While making their way through the trees, the pair were abruptly alarmed by screams in the distance, followed by a gunshot. Initially, they avoided assuming that anything serious was happening, but the atmosphere soon shifted.
I keep getting chills all down my back. Yeah. Somebody is screaming at the absolute top of their very not good obscenities to someone else. Right before that last gunshot, it sounded like a truck revving up or something, like in gravel, throwing gravel or something. That one sounded like a rifle. That last one, the other one sounded like a handgun. That last one, you could make out a few things they were saying. It won't repeat on here, but it was like blood-curdling screaming. I've never witnessed anybody screaming like that. Yeah. We would be to that. We might have been able to see it. That's terrifying. That is wicked. Hopefully nobody got shot, but sure sounded like somebody did. Sounds like somebody might have got killed over there. Your vehicle.
The noises suggested that whatever lay farther ahead could be much more concerning than they had first believed. Their uneasiness increased when additional gunshots rang across the forest, clearly unsettling both hunters. The screams seemed to linger after everything went quiet, making the encounter feel even more ominous.
I've heard some stuff that I feel needs to be reported to the police department. Okay. Me and a buddy were hunting And at about 6:45, we heard gunshots, but then for 30 minutes straight or so, there was lots of screaming and just people, obscenities, and something really bad was going on over there, and there was 20 or more gunshots ended up happening. I could hear vehicles taking off and coming to a halt, and we didn't know what to do, and we had no service, so we're trying to report and see if anything had been reported about there. I have pins dropped on a map about how far we were from where we think this was occurring. My name is Nicholas Andrews.
In wooded terrain, sharp noises such as gunfire and screaming may carry across long distances and reflect off tree slopes and clearings. Because of this, identifying the source or judging how far away it is can be extremely difficult. After hearing enough to suspect that someone could be in danger, they chose to contact the authorities. Once the report had been made, both men headed home and reflected on the unsettling events. They later explained that investigators never discovered anything. Still, hearing so many screams and shots is not easy to dismiss. What do you believe actually occurred in those woods on that unsettling night? On November 13th, 2023, the YouTube channel Wild Woman Bushcraft posted an unsettling video featuring hiker Vanessa Blank. In the recording, Vanessa and her dog traveled into a German forest, heading back to a campsite she had used on numerous previous trips. Her purpose was to inspect a bushcraft shelter she had constructed there earlier. However, the atmosphere shifted immediately when she arrived at the location.
Ich weiß echt nicht, was ich sagen soll. Ich kann nicht was sein. Was ist das, die Vanessa? Na, deswegen nicht. Ich bin gerade an meinem... Pfui. Nein, das ist Pfui. So there is a notification with my name on it. Mrs. Blank, learned nothing, short trousers, and then something I can't read. I'm not sure what's really stand there. I wanna piss at you or I wanna visit you. It's such a ugly writing, I'm not sure if I read everything. So you was not there, what a pity. It's your fault, we see us. It was something that know me, that know my camp. Nein, geh nicht ein, nein. And just want to destroy it because it's mine. What an asshole. Here is shit. I had to cover it that I doesn't step inside. And the only thing which is not so much damaged is the roof. When I covered it with moss, I spent a whole day for it. But everything else is just broken, destroyed. So I removed this wall in one of the last time because before it was here and I don't had enough space, so I remove it at this space. I create there a wood dryer area out of spruce tree that it can dry there, and I always have dry firewood. So and today I want to finish it and create there a table and also make there areas where I can leave my cooking stuff. There was my chair. I have no words how did the person just walk here and think, oh, it's from Vanessa, let's destroy it. My stomach also is crumbling. It's a little bit too much actually. Hopefully I've left nothing.
Vanessa soon discovered that something was seriously wrong. Her camp had been vandalized, equipment was spread across the ground, and sections of the shelter had been pulled apart. Yet the destruction itself was not what frightened her most. A personal letter had been left behind for her. Disturbed by the scene, Vanessa started getting ready to leave the forest. When she picked up the letter so she could preserve it as evidence, she found something even more alarming.
Den Zettel nehme ich mit. I bring this notification at home. Also jetzt hat der Spaß ein Loch. So, there is a photo from me. It's the same backpack that I carry today, and it's very damaged. So I'm not sure if it's a wildlife track photo or not, because there is the date on it. But when it's not a wildlife camera photo, that means that this person was in my closer area and take a photo from me, walked behind me, wants to check where I am, what I do, or I have no idea how they could otherwise find out at which day I am in the forest, because I have no special day. And that means that I have this shit again. I had a stalker that write me letters at my private address, which is something that nobody knows who I am, which knows the places where I was bushcrafting. I found your new camp, and I had this all in the past, everything. And I fought against it in the past. And I don't want to have this shit now again, to just be scared everywhere and look behind you if there is someone following, because you always mean that there is something around somebody. I don't want this shit anymore.
The letter contained a photograph of Vanessa taken somewhere inside the woods. The image showed that an unknown person had been secretly observing her while she was alone in the forest. Vanessa was able to leave safely without being harmed. Still, discovering that someone had watched her without her knowledge was something she would not easily forget. The vandalism may have been intended simply to frighten her, but the photograph made the situation feel targeted and deeply personal. What do you believe the person responsible was actually attempting to accomplish in reality? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.